Well, basketball fan or not, you are witnessing history in the making. The Sacramento Kings are officially playing the Golden State Warriors in round one of the NBA playoffs. Game one is on Saturday, and it's happening at the Golden One Center, and it airs right here on ABC 10. And tickets just went on sale hours ago for the Kings. This is 17 years in the making. This is video from the last time the team played in the NBA playoffs. They faced the San Antonio Spurs at Arco Arena all the way back in 2006. The Kings by far have the longest NBA playoff drought. That is until now, of course. So tonight we want to hear from you. Why are you buying tickets to the playoffs? Also, how much did you spend for them and who are you going to the game with? Please, please, please share your best Kings memory. All you have to do is just text us at 916-321-3310. You can also scan that QR code right at the bottom of your screen right now. And we're asking all this because, well, our Becca Hotbecker has been tracking ticket prices all day. You've also been out at the Golden One Center as well, and people are paying thousands of dollars for these tickets.
Quite literally, and happily for many long-suffering Kings fans, this is a dream come true. And to make this playoff run even more special, of course, the Kings are playing the Warriors. It's a battle over I-80, and our area is full of fans for both teams. You know, but what I saw today at Doco was decidedly pro-Kings. I spoke with one pair of friends who had just scored tickets to the first two playoff games, and another pair who said those tickets are just too expensive.
Let's go Kings all day. You already know we up here, baby. Let's get it.
Ventrell Dyson and Junior Garcia have been Kings fans since the 5th grade because of their teacher.
Our elementary school teacher actually made us Kings fans. Miss Williams, yeah, she was nice.
Oh, she was a really good teacher. She had Kings stuff all over the walls.
These were the days where it wasn't cool to be a Kings fan, you know what I mean?
But Miss Williams of Williamson Elementary in Rancho Cordova taught Dyson and Garcia a lifelong lesson.
We're still fans because of you, so, I mean, hopefully we made you proud, right?
Such fans, they dropped more than $2,000 on 4 tickets.
We got tickets to game 1 and 2.
We're in the building both nights. We paid probably about $2,400 for both games.
Okay. All together or each?
All together. I came in here thinking we were going to spend at least $4,000. So half of that.
Yeah, give me that all day of the week.
Yeah. We'll take it all day. 16-year drought. We're 10 years old, right? I was born in 1996. So we have to get in the building.
Have to.
No matter
automatic.
Where we're sitting, we're in the building.
Here you see Dyson returning the Kings jacket this stranger lent him, since you can't do an interview about being a Kings fan without wearing some team apparel, right? So I talked to the guy who lent it to him. Mikey Torres and his buddy Joe Barron, both lifelong Kings fans.
Even the bad years, we stuck it through. A lot of bad years, a lot of pain and heartbreak.
Like my wife, she doesn't understand how I can love a team so much. You know, just like when we made the playoffs. We were crying, you know, tearing up. I could still have.
And now another heartbreak when they saw the price of tickets for the playoff games.
Unfortunately, they were a little too expensive, a little more than I thought. So we're going to wait to see when they re-release tickets in a couple more days.
And right across the street from Joco, here at Ali Yousefi Square at 7th and K Streets will be a free fan zone called the Kings Playoffs Playground. It'll be open from 12 to 8 p.m. every game day, home and away. There will be fan activities, though a team spokesperson says they will not be showing the game here. So fans like Torres and Barron will have to find a local establishment where they can cheer on their team in a crowd, though they're holding on hope for tickets.
We're not going to stop looking to the day, even hours before. We'll still keep looking, you know.
Okay, so here are the resale ticket prices for Saturday's game on Ticketmaster. I just refreshed this seconds ago. So right now, the cheapest seats will run you about $457. Alex, there's no limit to how much money you can spend on these tickets.
All right, well, let's start there. What are we looking at for those nosebleed seats?
Okay, yeah, so for the nosebleeds, like, let's literally take a look at what we can get. So nosebleed seats, here we go. These will run you $775. Up here, we've got $485, $850. So, yeah,
quite a big range there.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Totally.
All right, what about for the big spenders out there? Is there anything available courtside at this point?
Courtside, yes. I'm glad that you asked. Let's check out Section 8 here. And $12,000. That's the most expensive one I could find. But hey, you know, food and beverage is included. So worth it? Depends on who you ask.
All right, Becca, thank you so much. And all this does come with a warning. I mean, these verified resale tickets are on Ticketmaster, so people do need to be very careful when buying resale tickets. It's easier than you think to get scammed. All right. And also, we want to hear from you. Why are you buying the tickets to the playoff? What are your best memories? Share some text with us. All you have to do is just message us at 916-321-3310. You can also scan the QR code right on your screen right now. And coming up tonight on Late News Tonight at 11, she works in politics in Washington, and he's a comedian out in New York City. And they're among the thousands of fans who will pack Golden One Center Saturday for the Beam team's first playoff appearance in 16 seasons.
When I was on Ticketmaster trying to get tickets, I had a big flashback to getting Taylor Swift tickets.
To be honest, I'm not even 100% sure we have the tickets. StubHub says we do, but they haven't been delivered to us yet.
All right, and these loyal fans are crossing the country for a historic night at the Golden One Center. We'll have their stories coming up right here on Late News Tonight at 11. And to make the bosses happy, of course, a quick promotion here for our coverage on Saturday for Game 1. We will have a special edition of the news at 4:30. ABC's coverage of the game starts at 5 p.m. and then tip-off is at 5:30. And be sure to join us after the game for another special edition of the news starting around 8 o'clock. We'll be live inside the Golden One Center. And now to an update on a story that we have been following for the past several days right here on To The Point. The man accused of killing a 72-year-old man in Roseville after taking him hostage last Thursday appeared in court today. The 72-year-old's wife was also shot along with a CHP officer. And the suspect is Eric Abril. He is 35 years old. You can see him right here. And he is now facing charges including murder during the course of a kidnapping and attempted murder on an officer, in addition to firearm charges. And this incident happened in a very quiet community around the Mahaney Park in Roseville. Law enforcement was serving warrants for Abril's car and home in a separate freeway shooting investigation. And neighbors, they are still trying to wrap their heads around how this all could happen as they remember the victim, 72-year-old James McKeegan.
They were the ones that decorated their house at Christmas time. They always smiled, they always waved, they always talked to you. We loved them as neighbors. If Mother Teresa was right here, they would be right with Mother Teresa.
And the last that we heard, the wife is still in the hospital. Coming up next on To The Point, it's been 3 months since Sacramento native Tyree Nichols died after being beaten by police. And now we're speaking with his family about what comes next. Today marks 3 months since Tyree Nichols died. The Sacramento native was beaten by police in Memphis, Tennessee, and died 3 days later on January 10th. Since the incident, more than a dozen Memphis fire and police personnel have been charged. And the judicial process, it could take months, even years. But here in Sacramento, where Tyree is from, people are looking for ways to celebrate his life. Tyree was a skateboarder and will have Natomas Regency Community Park named after him. Sacramento City Council approved $20,000 to be spent on the park. And now our Jeannie Wynn is speaking with his family about what happens next.
We're going to protect his ramp at all costs.
Friends with Tyree Nichols for years, Angelina Paxton says it's surreal to be standing in a park named after one of her best friends. This is now the Tyree Nichols Skate Park.
To me, this is like the first step in justice for him.
The Sacramento native was born and raised here before he moved to Memphis, Tennessee. In January, the 29-year-old was beaten to death by Memphis police following a traffic stop. Just last month, Sacramento City Council approved to rename the park after him. His 2 older sisters say it's an honor.
I am excited, I'm overwhelmed with joy. I know that all sounds cliche, but it's honestly the truth.
To celebrate, they're planning a big event to highlight the ribbon cutting on June 11th.
We plan to have a few events with arts and entertainment, and I don't want to overspeak because there's a lot of things still in the works.
Also in the works, the Tyree Nichols Foundation.
The mission is to just provide youth with scholarships, creative arts scholarships, to provide resources for young fathers, as my brother was a young father.
The sisters have plans on holding fundraisers in hopes of launching this foundation at the start of June, but also to bring it over to the community in Memphis.
Tyree had also created a life for himself there. So there are a lot of people that genuinely care about Tyree, and we wanted to serve that community as well.
When it comes to the changes here at this park, the family says they're working closely with the city to make sure any changes will honor Tyree.
It's going to make everybody who's ever grown up here, their dreams for this park come true. So it's going to be cool.
We also want to mention that renaming and improving this park was a very popular decision. The city council voted unanimously 9-0 for those changes. All right, coming up after the break, now is the time to chase waterfalls. We're getting a look at what the snow melt in spring is about to bring. All right, spring has sprung. This is the view in the East Bay. Places like Mount Diablo State Park are now full of wildflowers. The super bloom this year has been fueled by a lot of rain. And Monica, well, it's allergy season. I'll take the heat. The warm weather is pretty nice. I'm okay with that.
I know. It's kind of the double-edged sword. You get the nice weather and suddenly the allergies start to flare up.
Look at our flowers. We're so ready for spring over here.
This is about the only way that I can have flowers right now because I got horrible allergies. As far as those allergy counts, well, they are going to be in the moderate to high range. This will be true all the way through the week. We'll see our temperatures fluctuate just a little bit. Oak, mulberry, and ash, which are going to be the trees, are the highest. Probably didn't even need to tell you that because you can see kind of that glow in all the pollen accumulating on the sidewalks and our cars as well. As far as the rainfall, it really starts to taper off this time of year. The rain that we actually got last week helped to dampen down just a little bit of some of that pollen. We are heading into a likely cooler and wetter scenario. For the long-range forecast, it's just going to take a little bit of time to get there. So in the meantime, we're still about 80 degrees for afternoon highs in the valley, 70s for the foothills, and close to about 60 for the Sierra. A mix of sun and clouds heading into our Tuesday forecast. We'll still stick with highs right around the low 70s, which is fairly typical for this time of year. The one bit of shift that we'll see is going to be the winds. They're going to be most pronounced right along the coast and then also into the Sierra, where gusts over the ridges will be closer to about 60 to, at times, 80 miles per hour. Some difficult travel up there and the potential for some of those resorts to have some wind holds on the chairlifts. Some showers up towards the northwest coast here for our Tuesday morning, and then everything starts to slide its way eastward here. We stay dry, periods of cloud cover and slightly cooler weather for the middle of the work week. But overall, things are pretty much status quo, as you can see with our 10-day forecast. We dip to highs in the upper 60s on Wednesday. No real significant precipitation chance until we get to next week. Then we start to see a slightly cooler and perhaps wetter weather pattern, especially for the Sierra by early next week. It would be in the form of rain, but it starts to show a little bit of change out there, Alex.
And with temperatures rising, snow melting, and spring very much here, now is the perfect time to chase waterfalls. So this was the view inside Yosemite National Park today of Yosemite Falls. Our historic storms have supercharged those parks' famous waterfalls. And tonight, John Bartel is taking us on the back roads to Yosemite with advice on how to see the biggest falls.
Naturalist John Muir once said, "The snow is melting into music." And if you visit Yosemite National Park in the spring, that music is all around you.
Ephemeral means temporary, so it comes and goes, but it's usually just a springtime situation.
It would be hard to pick just one waterfall to focus on in the park, so Yosemite Conservation President Frank Dean suggested 5 waterfalls that any visitor could easily see on an ordinary day trip.
A little bit of a hike, but yes, it's a beautiful walk.
The first waterfall that almost every visitor will see is at the end of Wawona Tunnel. This is Bridal Veil Falls, a focal point for every picture, painting, and memory had by just about everyone who's visited the park.
The Miwok name for Bridal Veil Fall is Pohono, which means puffing wind.
It's below the billowing mist that the Conservancy and the National Park are working to make access to Bridal Veil Falls even better. Construction of new utilities, bathrooms, and trails will make it easier for everyone to get an up-close view by the end of this year.
You know, one thing special about Bridal Veil, it kind of makes its own weather. Take a look, as that water comes down, it freezes, makes a nice little icy layer all over the rocks. At 2,425 feet, Yosemite Falls is not only the most iconic falls in the park here, it's also one of the tallest in the world. And it's actually made up of 3 different parts, the upper, the middle, and the lower. And during the winter, it sheds off giant ice particles that eventually flow down its creek and make its way into the Merced River.
Frazzle ice, yeah, really unusual. You can't see it very many places in the world, only places that have really tall waterfalls.
Although it's not required, it is easier to drive than park in front of many of the waterfalls, especially the hard-to-find ones, like Sentinel Falls.
All right, so the unique thing about Sentinel Falls, it's a seasonal waterfall, meaning you can only see it from about March to June. Now, it's located just west of Sentinel Rock, and the water flows down multiple cascades that range from about 50 feet to about 500.
Now, in the wintertime, that fall, Sentinel Falls will freeze over, and actually people will ice climb up that waterfall.
Ribbon Falls is another one of the seasonal falls in the park here, and it's pretty easy to spot because right next to it is El Capitan, a popular climbing route.
Seasonal or not, all waterfalls in Yosemite Valley end up here.
So these are the headwaters for the water, like this Merced River, that flows down through the foothills into the Central Valley and eventually to San Francisco Bay.
One of my favorite views here at Yosemite National Park is right here on the Swinging Bridge picnic area. And that's because you get this great view of the Merced River, but right behind you here, you get a nice dead-on view of the upper Yosemite Falls.
Horsetail Falls brings in hundreds of photographers every year to catch a glimpse of what's called firefall.
Yeah, it's coming!
But there's a certain time of the year in February where the sunset is just at the right angle and it illuminates that waterfall into an orange.
The snowmelt puts on a spectacular show every year in Yosemite, but due to climate change, that show is becoming shorter and shorter. The 2 remaining ancient glaciers inside the park have almost completely melted. So if you want to see and hear the waterfalls, there's no better time than right now.
Chasing waterfalls in Yosemite National Park, I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the back roads.
And reservations are not required to visit Yosemite National Park, but the entrance fee is $35 per car. And if you are interested in seeing the firefall next year, make sure you plan ahead. Reservations are required for that. All right, now to today's other headlines that people are talking about. And let me just say, it unfortunately was a deadly Easter weekend. The town of Loomis is mourning the loss of their finance director and treasurer, Roger Carroll. He was hit and killed while riding his bicycle in rural Sutter County. He had worked for Loomis's government for just under 25 years, and the suspected driver that hit him has been arrested. There was a gathering in Woodland today at the spot where a grandmother was killed in a fiery crash. Tina Vidal was in a car with her daughter, son, and her granddaughter, who was just 5 years old. A 13-year-old hit them in a stolen car, all while being chased by police, and the teen is now facing vehicular manslaughter. And the world's fastest man has passed away at the age of 86 years old. Craig Breedlove lived in Rio Vista. He broke the land speed record 5 different times in his land rocket called Spirit of America, topping out at 600 miles per hour. Our Walt Gray asked him not too long ago how he ended up in Rio Vista.
Well, mainly because of the traffic in Los Angeles. I came up here to kind of get away from the mob and fell in love with the town.
And fun fact here, the Beach Boys wrote a hit song about Breedlove. It was called Spirit of America. We're back after this. All right, I say it all the time. The To The Point team reads all of your texts, your emails, your comments, and many of you have asked us about new roundabouts in your city. So tomorrow on To The Point, Andy Judson is looking into how they got the green light. Take a look.
Well, they slow people down a little bit. And they decorate the intersections a little bit, too.
And there's people who just cannot stand roundabouts.
Like them or not, roundabouts like the one I am standing on are being used more and more for intersections, and we wanted to know why.
The Brits were pushing them here on the U.S. There's now hundreds of thousands of these.
We can't afford to put in a $7 million roundabout at all 200 traffic signals in the city of Roseville. That's a lot of money.
How roundabouts got a green light. An ABC 10 Originals report.
All right, and you can catch Andy's report right here tomorrow on To The Point at 6:30. And before we go, I want to remind you, send us your favorite Kings memories. Send us why you're going to the game. If you're going to the game, how much did you pay? Let us know. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.